Hi, thank you so much for clicking on the video, and I hope everyone is doing really well. It seems to me that a lot of people think that the goal of recovery is weight gain. Like the end result or the thing that you are striving for is a healthy body weight. Even my own doctor was only happy when my weight was increasing. Once a week, I would go in and get weighed with my doctor, and I remember there were several occasions where from week to week, I would only put on maybe a quarter of a pound, half a pound, a very, I guess, small amount. And my doctor would get so upset with me and tell me that I wasn't trying hard enough. And I would think to myself, of course I'm not trying hard enough because this isn't something that I want. I'm basically being blackmailed and forced to put on weight when I really don't want to. I also remember several times that when I would go in, I would maybe put on a pound or 2 pounds in just a week's time, and my doctor would praise me, but in a way, it felt like she was praising herself, like she had accomplished something. All the while, I am feeling like a complete failure. She's praising me for putting on a pound or two, but she doesn't know what I'm doing to myself as punishment for that weight gain, and she didn't care. It didn't matter that I was miserable and angry with myself. It didn't matter that I lived in a constant state of fear and anxiety. It didn't matter that the very concept of weight gain made me contemplate suicide. All that mattered was that the number on the scale went up. No wonder I rejected recovery for so long. For me, all those negative emotions and feelings that came with weight gain, I associated with recovery because I associated weight gain as recovery. To me, weight gain equaled recovery. Thank God I finally figured it out. Recovery is more than just gaining weight, and I think it's important for sufferers to realize this before entering recovery. If you enter recovery thinking that all I have to do is gain weight, then you're going to turn to very unhealthy, junky foods just to get the weight on, because in your mind, that is the goal. When that is your goal, you're not benefiting your body. One thing I really appreciate about recovery is that it's taught me so much about proper nutrition, and it's given me an understanding and an education in a topic that I knew very little about until I entered recovery. I now know my food choices play a major part in my life. And if I had just gone in thinking I just need to gain weight, then I'm just going to eat ice cream and chips all day to gain weight and not really appreciate what my body does for me when I feed it well. You need to determine your goal. Now, you don't have to figure that out right away. I certainly didn't know what my goal was entering into recovery. I just knew that I was at a point in my life where I needed to recover. It took going through that initial experience and that choice of recovery to come to terms with what my goal is. And that is going to be the same for, I think, everyone who is entering eating disorder recovery. You might not know what it is exactly that you want from the start, but just in taking those first few steps through it and really experiencing what it's all about really will help you determine that goal. There are many factors that will point you in the direction of relapse before you even start recovery in the first place. I think the first being thinking that there is an end to recovery, and the second is believing that the end of recovery is gaining weight. Now, that isn't to say that there is always not an end to recovery, but I think it's really important before entering into this journey, you come to terms with the possibility that this is going to be a lifelong process. There's always the chance that you are, from the moment you choose recovery, you're going to be living in a state of recovery until the day you die, and you get to live a long, fulfilling life just knowing that you're going to have this struggle, but it's your struggle to carry. Now, that isn't to say that maybe for some people, recovery isn't a lifelong journey. Eventually, maybe they come to a point where they no longer see food as the enemy. That thought doesn't even enter their mind. But it's important to just enter recovery and not think that I need to reach here, this end point. But I think what will really set you back is thinking that gaining weight is the ultimate end goal to recovery. You have to take the steps towards tackling the emotional and the mental issues and the trauma that surrounds eating disorders. This is where every person's background and experiences are different. However, we've all come to the same result. We have all developed an eating disorder, despite the differences in our backgrounds. Some people work through their issues a lot slower than other people, and that's okay. That's where accepting the fact that this could be a lifelong journey is key. If you are not making mental changes and you are not focusing on working through your mental issues and your emotional issues that surround the eating disorders, I can guarantee you that you are going to relapse. Maybe not right away, but if you do not tackle the emotional and mental issues and problems that come with your eating disorder, you're going to fall off track eventually. There are cases where a person will go years and years and years and years and then suddenly relapse. And it's because they let something stay buried within them. They didn't face everything within them. I think it's important for members of the support system, so let's call them the non-sufferers, it's important for them to understand that gaining weight is not the ultimate goal. If you are looking to be a good, supportive, dependable person to the sufferer, you need to strip the idea of weight gain from your mind. There is a lot of language that corresponds with weight gain, and that kind of language is not going to benefit the person in recovery in the slightest. It's best to take the focus off of weight, food, and eating and turn the emphasis on the emotional and mental aspects. You have to understand that an eating disorder is an emotional, a mental, and oftentimes a physical reaction to trauma or abuse. It's the mind's way of protecting itself, and it creates a false sense of control. This is where the focus of recovery needs to be, on why does our mind feel like it needs to create control. As someone who is trying to support a person in recovery, before you say or do anything, you need to ask yourself, which goal is influenced this thing that I am about to say or do? Am I being influenced by weight gain or emotional breakthroughs and mental growth? At the end of the day, people who have eating disorders and people who are in recovery, we all want the same thing as everybody else in the world. All we want is happiness. We haven't felt it or experienced it in a long time. Recovery gives us the opportunity to rediscover what it is that makes us happy. Constantly thinking about weight is what got us into trouble in the first place. So constantly thinking about weight gain isn't going to make us happy either. Growing as an emotional creature and expanding our understanding of our own personal psyche is going to draw us one step closer to our true end goal. The real end goal of recovery is living a happy, healthy life without an eating disorder. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, especially if you are the person who wants to be the supportive role in someone who's going through recovery. I think it's really important that the support system understands that weight gain is not the focus of recovery. There's so much more. Just like there's so much more to the eating disorder, there's so much more to what recovery is all about. So I hope you have learned something. If you did, please give this a thumbs up. For more videos about diets and eating disorders, please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!